All right, there we go. Now everybody can hear us because I forgot to unmute one more thing. I also forgot to turn on the candles behind me. That's just, I'm kind of swiping it here. Mute. Got the YouTube chat's like, mute. It's a mutiny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live and underway. We got 2 full hours of paranormal entertainment to bring to you, and hopefully we succeed at that. Kind of fuzzy tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to make me have to go use the restroom here shortly. Thank God we have 3 breaks during the show.
Yep, there's 3 breaks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, if you're watching us on YouTube especially, this is kind of unusual, is that we do this live show on Friday, Saturday nights. We do it more than Friday, Saturday nights, but on Friday, Saturday nights, we are actually joined to tfrlive.com, which is an online internet radio station, as well as iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. So we do have to take breaks every half hour. So during that time, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see these lovely video compilations that I put together with relaxing music, or music anyway, to bide your time while everyone else on the radio end of it is hearing commercials. So that's why we take the breaks, just in case you're like, what's going on with the breaks? These guys aren't working that hard. So it's because we have to just keep everything in sync. But throughout the course of our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines will be open if you want to call in and be a part of what we're doing. You've got a paranormal experience of your very own that you'd like to share and bring to the table, then by all means, please do. And you can do that by calling 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. So we have all kinds of methods for fun. If you have paranormal experiences, but it kind of freaks you out to call in, that's not your thing, just please email them to us. We'd love to hear them via email as well. And you can do that by emailing paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So paranormalportalradio, all one word, @gmail.com. So lots of opportunities for fun right here on the show. So I hope you'll take and enjoy part of that in some measure or another. But Don is here, ladies and gentlemen. My good friend and co-host, as you already heard, I'm sure, is here with me. How you doing, brother?
Apparently, thank God I'm here with you, because I can tell you to unmute your mics.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's that's why I need
everybody started. Hey, by the way,
yeah,
they're yelling at you.
You're like my Jiminy Cricket.
Of course, it's obviously my fault.
It probably is somehow.
I'll tell you why. Because I know it's my fault, because I'm being chassalted. Chassalted.
I caught that. That's
I'm being
clever.
chassalted.
Well, at least you take it well. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I take. It's taking them on the chin, Don. You get them from Wes and Shaw and everybody in the chat room, and
sometimes Merkel, when he shows up, he gives them. And
oh God, yeah, Mr. Wes, yeah, wow.
Tony and Merkel.
Well, yeah, but Wes does too, yeah.
Yeah.
So, jeez. Hi, Nessie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to the show. It's great to see you all. Thank you for coming in and being a part of what we're doing. This is, again, 2 hours of fun. So if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. That's all.
Because we know it's not us doing it wrong.
it's on you guys, not us. We're having fun here, as you can tell. But we got lots of paranormal creature stuff to go into tonight. Cryptids, weirdness. We touched on a little bit last night, and had a great show last night with Daniela Aiello of Hidden Existence and co-host of Bigfoot Odyssey. And we had a great talk. It was a lot of fun, good time, and she's just a real pleasant person.
Awesome.
She's awesome. Yep, she is. So if you didn't see that show, of course, you can check it out in our archives.
Which would be the one from yesterday, by the way.
That would be the one from yesterday. Yep, absolutely. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, coming up this Wednesday night, the 14th of October, we are welcoming Mr. James Bobo Fay.
That's
from,
right.
Of course, from Finding Bigfoot, as well as their podcast. He and Cliff do a podcast now called Bigfoot and Beyond with Cliff and Bobo. So we're going to be welcoming Bobo to the show and have 2 full hours of seeing what he's got to say, which should be a great time. Just a really incredibly smart, well-researched man. I mean, he's been doing this for ages, going out there and looking for Bigfoot and just some great stories I'm sure will be shared and have a great conversation. So tune in. That'll be Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube, not on TFR though, guys. So if you want to catch that show, you'll have to catch it on YouTube on Wednesday night. We don't broadcast on TFR on Wednesday, so.
Oh, it just.
Okay, Don just had to.
I just
get
around me.
He just got to get his evil laughter out of the way every once in a while. It builds up.
It does. It's kind of weird.
It's like a case of gas.
I just can't stop it.
Okay, now you're disturbing me.
Now you're trying too hard, Don.
Now you're pushing it. No, yeah, Bobo is brilliant. Scottish Wild Man says, "Yeah, you are absolutely right." A lot of people don't understand, but that guy is incredibly intelligent. Like, I've heard him interviewed for years, not only when he was on Finding Bigfoot, but Monster Quest before that. And he was on so many other shows in, utility fashion or as a guest on them. And when you listen to him really get into his groove, that guy is super intelligent. And plus he did really well on Wes's quiz show. He did really good. He and Merkel went head to head, and I think Bobo pulled out the win. But actually, Merkel did a good job. He showed up for sure. So it was a good time. But they didn't just do Bigfoot lore. They did everything. Wes pulled out the whole buffet of knowledge.
Everybody was pulling out everything.
Yeah. Hey.
What?
I don't even know if I want to comment on that. Yeah. Scottish Wildman says, very intelligent, well read. Absolutely. And we're going to see about getting Cliff on here, too. Because we are, of course, podcast mates. We're all on the same network.
Yes, we are.
So we're going to have to see if Cliff will come on another time and have a talk with him. I guess we could have them both on, too. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, boy.
Have a round table with their show.
Just get Wes in on it.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
That's kind of like spiking the punch at a wedding, isn't it?
Yeah. You mean an awful darn good time?
You got 5-year-olds running around drunk.
That's about right. That sounds about right.
No, it'd be a good time. It'd be a lot of fun. So we'll see what we can pull together for you guys. There's another invitation I've got out there I'm waiting to hear back on, but it'll be another great show that I'm waiting, just really excited to announce that one once I get confirmation. So
that's another one we can get on a round table too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, but we'll dig into that a little more as we move forward. But that's enough of the laundry up front. So I guess we'll move to all the good stuff. What do you got, Don? Sorry.
Did I ever tell you that I never used to be, when I was in high school, I could talk in front of anybody, right? Everybody.
Oh, sure.
I did this. I was a speaker at a conference when I was 17 years old. There was like 300 people there. I never had a problem. But after I got out of high school, I hated talking to people.
Really?
And then here I am.
Doing a
show and a podcast with you.
Yeah. And another show as well.
Yeah.
You're part of Paisley's show too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's right.
How did I forget that?
Yeah, nice. But no, I mean, you do a good job publicly.
So I don't know what it is. I bet you if I got on stage, I'd be like, oh, what?
Yeah. Well, next year when the conference schedule opens back up again, we can definitely put that to the test.
That
because
sucked.
I know this year just totally sucked for us in that regard, ladies and gentlemen. We would have been at the International Bigfoot Conference. We had all the reservations. Everything was all set. And then we had to have a pandemic. Jeez. Yeah, who scheduled that deal?
The Chinese.
Because it's from China. Sorry.
Cha-Cha says people hate talking to me too. So you're good.
Well, there you go. All right, so let's get to some of this paranormal weirdness that we got going on.
Okay, yeah. Was it Strange Creatures of the Paranormal?
That's the title I came up with. I thought it was
it's rather snappy.
It is kind of snappy. Yeah. Here's one that I had pulled up that I was going to read last night when I was talking with Daniela, but we just had so much great conversation we never got to it. But
I love you too, Cha-Cha.
This one is called Lair of the Beasts, a World War Wild Man. Now, a lot of times you hear the term wild man used, especially in older references. And that was basically what they called Bigfoot, or, some version of Bigfoot, whether it's a Yeren, a Yeti, whatever. But even in the U.S., a lot of the old publications and newspaper mentions of what we now come to consider a Bigfoot were called wild men. And it was the idea that there was these really ferocious men that were living wild out there. They didn't really know what they were. They were just huge. They were strong, and they were ferocious.
And apparently wild.
Yeah, which, you can always derive that from the name. Oh, thank you, Kirsten.
Oh, yes, nice, thank you. Nice.
So much love. I just love all this love.
Nessie says, strange creatures of the paranormal. He's talking about us, isn't he?
Well, you are a Nessie, so you kind of qualify.
You did it to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't pick your name. Sorry. So,
you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
You can't wipe your friends on the back of the couch either.
Oh, God. Oh, why would you do that? That's disgusting.
I don't do that. That's why it's a joke.
How do you make a couch dance? Wipe a little boogie on it.
Oh, all right. Okay, so let's get back to a show before we flush this all the way down the
Wild
toilet.
Man of World War II.
Wild Man of World War II. So that's a reference that you'll often hear in cryptids references for old reports of what we come to know now as Bigfoot. People use the term wild man because they really didn't know what else to call it. I mean, it was just this ferocious man.
I wasn't around then, so they couldn't call it a Don.
No. But it says the article is from animalien.com, and it says, across what used to be the Soviet Central Asia, as far west as what are parts of Europe, and as far east as Mongolia, reports have long proliferated of hairy creatures known as almas or almasti that seem to be far more akin to men than they do apes, although they reputedly demonstrate clear and undeniable characteristics of both. The opinion is acutely divided upon what these beasts are, or may be, as it is deeply tempting to theorize that they may be surviving pockets of our closest relatives, the Neanderthals, who supposedly died out in the later part of the Pleistocene. How the hell? I forgot how to say that. Pleistocene epoch?
Pleistocene.
Thank you. I knew I'd get it. I know that word.
You got it close enough that I remembered.
Okay. More familiar known as the Ice Age. Certainly some researchers, and most notably the late American anthropologist and cryptozoologist, Professor Grover Krantz, concluded that the Almasti may well be true humans. Nothing less than surviving tribes of Mesolithic hunter-gatherers, similar to but far more primitive than the Aboriginal natives of most obscure parts of South America and Southeast to Asia. One such creature of Almasti-like proportions was encountered very close quarters as the Second World War was winding down to its final stages. The man we have to thank for bringing this story to our attention is none other than Ergib Koshokyev, who lived in the Caucasus Mountains at the time and where the amazing incident took place, and who had heard stories of hairy creatures of the hills and woods for a number of years. It was late one dark autumn night in 1944 in Kroskotkev. I don't know. I'm brutalizing that name. I'm going to move this over so everybody can see how hard these words are. These are not like easy words. I just want to put it out there.
Problems with words.
I have trouble with some words. That's
you mean like Russian words and Indian names,
Icelandic,
Icelandics. Yes.
Okay, so but it says let's see. It was dark one autumn night in 1944. He was working as a policeman at the time, and was part of a group of local men scouring the nearby fields and hills on horseback and keeping a careful watch for any sign of Hitler's marauding armies closing in.
Marauding armies.
Yeah, that's what they said. Without warning, the horse of the man leading the band suddenly stopped in its tracks, flatly refusing or unable, because of overwhelming fear, to move any further forward. This was hardly surprising. Barely 20 feet in front of the shock group stood a huge, dark, hair-covered animal, not at all unlike what passes today for the North American Bigfoot. Very aware of it having been seen, the beast shot away at an incredibly fast rate and in the direction of a nearby shepherd's cabin. The men, terror-stricken one and all, wasted no time in ensuring their rifles were trained on the ramshackle old cabin and tentatively approached it. The idea quickly outlined by the officer in charge was to try and take the creature alive and only kill it if all other scenarios failed. If it could be captured and transferred to military personnel at Nalchik, the capital city of Russia's Kabardino-Balkaria Republic, The officer reasoned then answers to its identity might well be forthcoming. So an ambitious plan was quickly put into place. On reaching the building, the men made a circle around it and were about to throw the door wide open when the Almasty, apparently having developed a fair idea of what was afoot, bounded out of the shadows and in a state of crazed frenzy, dashed back and forth in front of the cabin's door while growling unintelligibly and with a terrible look on its primitive, rage-filled face. The officers surprisingly kept their wits about them, made a line, and moved forward, careful step by careful step. The man-beast, without warning, charged them, and the previously intact wits were utterly and immediately gone. The line broke, and the men frantically scrambled to get up out of the way of the monster as it raced towards a nearby ravine and the darkness of thick woodland. The beast was gone. The mystery of what it may have been was never resolved.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, that's got to be, I mean, again, if it's huge, we don't really get an idea from this story about how huge. But if it is like Bigfoot size, if that's suddenly charging at you looking pissed, I don't think anybody would just stand there and be all brave. I hear people talking about bluff charges. Bluff charges to me would be just about the most terrifying thing in the world. To have that huge beast growling and coming at you. You know, I don't know how people can stay in the pocket for those, but my hat's off to them if they can. If those people that have just stood there as these things charged. But it's the same thing, a very similar behavior to like gorillas. The big silverbacks will bluff charge a lot of times as well. And even then, I don't know how people stand there and just watch it come, you know, unless they're actually frozen in fear and can't move, but they play it off as brave, you know. But that's common behavior. But what is it? I don't know. Obviously, they didn't find out, but a really cool story nonetheless. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try calling the number to see if I can get that sound. Because sometimes if we call the phone line, it gets better.
Who are you going to call?
720-923-0500. I'm calling the portal, ladies and gentlemen.
He's going to call in.
I'm going to be our first caller tonight.
And we have a call on the board tonight. Caller, what's your name?
My name is Smedley. Smedley Hankbait. All right, here I am.
Sack. It's a fish sack.
Quit talking about fish sacks. Huh? Now, did you hear how good that sound got all of a sudden?
Yeah, it got nice.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, I hung up on it. I see Carlton called in.
Oh, Carlton's calling in.
How you doing, Carlton?
Yeah, it got nice. Yeah.
How you doing, Carlton? He's still typing, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your call. All right, there we go. So there's that darn delay. But if you wanted to talk, Carlton, just hang on the line. I'll get back to you. I just think you were calling to help us out with the sound. Or if you want to remain on the line, and that way we can use that to buffer this static. But as you can hear...
yeah, waste your phone's battery.
He does that for me all the time.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Carlton calls in regularly and just sits there, and he's kind of like my static control. He's like my fabric softener.
He's your grounder. He grounds you.
Yeah, he's a grounder, all right. I appreciate it, Carlton. Thank you. Let me just switch over to him to see if he did have something to say, or if he was just helping out.
Oh, yeah.
Carlton, you're on the air. Are you there?
Carlton, thank you. Let me just switch over to him.
He's still. This is the delay. Hello. Oh, he hung up.
Yeah, oh well. Well, it sounds great.
Yeah, it does sound good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. Just kinda, I don't know what it is. Something about that call coming in is enough to just clear that line, which is really cool. So there's the first story of the night. Obviously, Alma Almasty. That's also, for those of you that are kind of into the whole Bigfoot thing, that's what the Zana was supposed to be.
Right.
By most accounts, was that she was an Almasty, which is
a Russian Bigfoot.
Yeah, but it's they do have like the Yetis up there too. So it does seem like we hear about the type 1, 2, 3, 4 Bigfoots here, and there is definitely allegedly quite a bit of difference between them. Patty would be, the Patterson-Gimlin film. Patty of that film was considered a type 1. Type 2 would be more like a wood booger type with the rounded head. Type 3 would be like the Beast of Seven Shoots with the long baboon-like snout. And type 4, I think, is the more human-looking type. Or I could be wrong. I could be all wrong. I've never really had those real straight in my head. I don't know. They're all just big and hairy and scary.
Yeah, it's a big
Hairy scaries. Yep, that's all they are. I'm a big, hairy, scary, Don. That sounds like a T-shirt.
Big, hairy, scary Don.
No, just without the Don part.
Wow.
Big, hairy, scary.
No glory for you, sir.
Yep. The long beard. Big, hairy, scary. All right, so
Reminds me of that mask I was designing of my beard.
oh yeah.
Remember I kept showing you that, like,
You had it up there for a while.
I did, didn't I? Yeah.
You
I was
pulled it
like,
though.
No, yeah, I pulled it because it looked wrong.
Yeah. Well,
Especially if you got like a long nose and you put your mask under your nose.
Oh, hey,
It would've
hey,
looked
hey,
really bad.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We've got a little inside scoop on that. Not everybody can pull off those kinds of beard, though, either. It takes a special frame
I've been
to mount
encouraged.
a beard on like that.
Oh, wow. Okay, anyhow. So what else you got?
Well, I was just got a drink, but thanks for
yeah.
asking.
Oh, you're welcome.
No, I got more stuff here.
I know
I got
you
lots
do.
more stuff.
Wow.
We're already at 4 minutes till the break, though.
You
Can
don't
believe
have
it?
10,000 tabs open.
No, I kind of trimmed them down a little bit.
Wow.
See what I tell you guys?
Kinda like
If you were
your
listening,
toenails?
if you were listening to the show last night, you would have heard me say, "Ask Don," because I got about 4 browser windows open, and each of them has at least 25 tabs cooking.
That's right.
But I've kind of slimmed them down. a
Wow.
little
Yeah.
bit.
You actually, they're not like just stacked on each other.
Thank you very much. I like my work to be appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Throwing
got
it out
another one of these, but we only got 3 minutes
Wow.
before the break. So
We've been able to BS that long. Of course we have.
well, I don't think I can
Oh, you
squeeze in the
can't
whole
get that
story
one,
though.
yeah.
That one's too big, so I'm just going to try to see if I got something smaller. I don't know. You got something short?
No, I got nothing short. Everything I got's going to take a couple minutes each.
Not what she said. Sorry. I'm just a child. You got to understand. I got like 3 hours of sleep. So before I embarrass myself further, let me just tell you all that I'm pretty sleep deprived. So I'm going to probably be embarrassing myself much more tonight before the show is over. I don't mean to be an idiot. I just sometimes go full idiot with no warning, just so you know.
Never go full idiot.
I do, though. I don't know what happens. It's just like I lose IQ points the more tired I am. And suddenly I'm like a functional tree over here. That's about it. Let's see. Camping cryptids. Ooh. This one might be shorter. At least I can squeeze maybe some of it. Yeah, there's little segments to this one. This one has to do with camping cryptids.
Oh.
Creatures you may encounter in the summer. It says summer is the perfect time for people to go hiking and excuse me. Well, hairball.
Shut up, Brent.
Okay, I'm better. Well, I'm giving myself the Heimlich here on the back of my head. Summer is the perfect time for people to go hiking and camping. While most outdoor adventurers worry about taking safety precautions against the weather, bugs, and wild animals, most do not even think about the possibility of running into something. Yet every year, numerous reports emerge of eerie creatures being sighted among the thick trees in the woods. Below is a list of some of the more popular cryptids that have been sighted throughout the years. Perhaps next time you go into the woods, you'll spot one for yourself. So the first one is called the Wood Devils, according to this, seen around Coos County, New Hampshire. Since the 1930s, these creatures have been described as looking, let me put this on screen. There's not much to go by here, ladies and gentlemen, as far as visual things, but they did put some pictures in the article that are not directly related. They're just pictures. Where did I go? These creatures have been described as looking very Bigfoot-esque. They are typically around 7 to 9 feet tall with long, shaggy, tan gray hair. Unlike other Bigfoots, wood devils hide behind trees when they see a human coming. No, that's real common in Bigfoots too. But if there's no place to hide, the wood devils will stand completely still. That's the same as Bigfoots. Throughout the years, many outdoorsmen and campers have heard the screams of these creatures echoing throughout the woods. And that's all they say about them. I don't see anything different as far as behaviorally, unless they are more lean build or something. And even then, it could still be. I believe that there's probably enough biodiversity in the Bigfoot line that they could have tall, lanky ones, and they could have these broad, thick ones that we're most usually seeing.
They're cousins.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
That's cousin Jeff over there.
Right.
This is
But
Daryl. Is my other brother Daryl.
Right. We are going to go to our first break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll get to the rest of this list of weird creatures seen camping around the country. Don't go away. And the stupidity continues here on the portal. Only those of you on YouTube could appreciate what just happened here in the studio, but you can tell that we just like to have a good time. Now, there's a lot of people doing paranormal shows out there, but we like to have fun because this stuff is dark enough as it is. It doesn't need spooky. You don't need to add spooky to the paranormal.
It's spooky
already
enough.
It's already plenty dark all by itself.
Spooky.
So we like to have fun with it and have a good time with it. Before we get back to our article, I just wanted to read these comments by one of the chatters in the TFR chat room. Grover Hunter 432 said, "I've seen Bigfoot in Laytonville, California. Ran across the road and then disappeared. Think he went through a portal or something. And then 6 hours later in the same spot, we seen them just up the road we seen them just up the road was a 3.5 earthquake. I don't believe in coincidences." And he says, "And this is what Northern California Bigfoot is doing now, saving all the wilderness animals. Would you guys think about this picture?" He did send a picture. That's cute. I like that. Let me go to the URL here and see if I can look at it. And pull it over for our...
Yeah, pull it over there.
Pull it over for our YouTube audience as well. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here is a depiction, ladies and gentlemen, of Bigfoot saving animals from the fires. And, yeah, just looking at that painting, it just makes me sad because those forest fires, of course, are
devastating.
Horrible. I mean, all that beautiful, pristine woodlands is just gone. Now, it'll grow back. I believe it will, but it's just... It'll take generations to come back.
It'll grow back healthier, though,
Yeah.
because our forests have been such a mess for so long that's part of the problem.
That's probably true. And I don't pretend to know much about forestry or conservation. Jesus. But, I'm sure that's true. I know that there are tribes in Africa that as they walk through the grasslands that they're parched and dry, they light fires as they go, and all these grasslands just light up, and they burn down, and there was efforts for a long time to put out those fires because they figured that they were just being malicious, trying to create grazing land for their cattle, but it wasn't. What they noticed was that when the grasslands grew back, they were lush and green and beautiful, and all of that dry chaff had just burned away. So the new grasses could come up so much more aggressively. And so the natives were actually doing a really big service, right?
Carlton says, "Don't get me started, guys."
Oh no! Are we hitting trigger words for Carlton again?
Of course we are. When you talk
words.
about the earth and the
That's
land
true.
and husbandry and
He's like our version of Captain Planet, I think.
Well, that's not a bad way to put it. Yeah,
Captain Planet, Mr. Carlton. Yeah. But I think that there is truth to that. That you got to burn away a lot of that old stuff, and by burning it away in a controlled manner, I think that it probably does keep huge fires from springing up.
Yes,
because there isn't so much fuel for the flames.
Exactly. They have a tree that falls over, and if it doesn't fall all the way to the ground, if it gets stuck in another tree and causes a domino effect, a fire can race right up that. It's called a fire ladder. And it races right up there into the canopy, and then you're really screwed. So, but then again, it gets up underneath the loam, and it will actually burn under the ground, under that loam, under that. Yeah. So there's a lot of danger when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I've heard about this. There's some places that have these underground fires that have been burning for decades,
Sure.
Burning through all of that whether it's peat or whatever. In some areas, there's just root systems of trees. That flames can burn through the root systems of the trees for decades and then suddenly spring up again. And, have you heard of that?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no, because...
Making sure I'm grounded here.
So, anyhow. But back to camping, weird stories in camping.
Yeah, thank you for that segue. Thank you for that awkward segue. I appreciate that.
You fumbled that one, Don.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. The whirling Wimpus is another one. We're going through a list, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, of strange creatures that are witnessed by people camping. But this is called the whirling Wimpus. And I'm not making that up, ladies and gentlemen. It's right here in print. I'm putting it on the screen for those of you on YouTube to see. But it says another Bigfoot-like creature, the whirling Wimpus, is said to be responsible for the deaths of numerous lumberjacks in the North American woods. It is said to look like a 7-foot-tall gorilla with a fat black body and legs that have hooves. Oh, hooves,
What?
ladies and gentlemen. I'm just reading it.
Wow.
That will hide behind a bend of a trail while a human walks by. As soon as the victim walks closer, the whirling Wimpus will spin around on one hoof quickly so as to become almost invisible. While doing this, it will make a low humming sound that seems like it's coming from the trees above. And when the prey looks up, the Wimpus will attack. Okay.
Wow.
I don't know how that's... I don't know. Boy, that sounds like some drunk lumberjacks coming up with quite a yarn there.
Yeah, no doubt. These guys spend weeks in the woods.
They're awful lonely out there. I don't know. I'm just reading them as I find them. Now, this one is one that you and I were talking about just before the show, devil monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
So I know you found something that's a little more comprehensive about it. But
Well, I got some, yeah.
this says,
bigger, but yeah.
devil monkeys are large baboon-like primates that are being spotted in forested areas of Flagstaff, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, among other places. They are described as being 4 to 5 feet tall, very quick, having sharp pointed faces, long springy legs, and 3-toed razor claw feet. The first sighting took place in 1934 in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, where reports of a creature that could jump extremely high began to surface. The first official sighting of the devil monkey came in 1959 as a couple who was driving through the mountains on their way home to Saltville, Virginia, when their car was attacked. And this is the one I've heard of, yeah. The ape-like beast left 3 scratches on their car. 2 days later, 2 nurses from the Saltville area were driving home when a similar creature ripped the convertible top from their car. God, that's got to be a horrible feeling. Reports continued throughout the years, with many of them involving the devil monkey attacking local animals. One couple in 2006 came home to find a devil-like creature attacking their dog. Oh, that's horrible.
Wow.
All right, here comes the Flatwood Monster, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this one is...
Yeah,
it is really bizarre.
Offside, yeah.
Yeah, but this may very well be something else. Not really a cryptid. It might be just some sort of alien or something. I don't know.
Some sort of alien.
Well, I mean, look at that picture, right?
Well, yeah.
And I should probably put a link into the TFR for people to see what we're going through here. Here's the
We're
link.
going through a lot.
Well,
God help us all.
pull up a couch. We're going to be here for a while. If you want to talk about what we're going
Thank
through.
you, Dr. Freud.
There's a link for those of you in TFR to look at, but this is about halfway down the page is the Flatwood Monster. This is the Flatwood Monsters can be sighted in both Flatwoods and Frametown, West Virginia. The monster is said to be about 10 feet tall, and it looks like it's some sort of space suit or robotic armor. It has a cowl in the shape of an ace of spades, a huge round head, 2 large eyes that glow green-orange.
Ace of Spades.
Yep, that's right. The body is a metallic armor structured with thick vertical pipes. The very first report of the Flatwood Monster came on September 12, 1952, after 3 boys saw a bright object fall from the sky and land in an acre of land belonging to a local farmer. Well, they ran home, grabbed small search party, and then went to the farm to see what the boys had seen. Upon reaching the site, the group saw a huge ball of fire. They also saw 2 small lights over to the left of the object, and when they put his flashlight on the lights, it revealed a creature which hissed and began gliding towards them before changing directions. The day after this incident, a couple driving home had their car come to a sudden stop. A sulfuric odor filled the air, and they then saw the Flatwood Monster standing in front of them. Well, that'll wreck your whole day.
Yeah, that's
That's not good. Well, here's something else. The Lone Pine Mountain Devil. Okay, well, let's hear about the Lone Pine Mountain Devil, ladies and gentlemen. We're learning about all kinds of new ones here tonight.
Wow.
This creature is a winged carnivore that lives in West Coast, and some believe it is related to the Jersey Devil. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I saw that picture. The animal is said to be large, furry, multi-winged, and have razor-sharp talons. Its beak also contains rows upon rows of venomous fangs.
Wow.
Sightings began back in the early with the early settlers, including the 49ers, who began spreading the tale after numerous coyote and bobcat carcasses were found laying about in the desert.
I found that 49ers have spread many rumors.
Yeah.
I'm talking about football.
Oh, the football. And the NFL especially.
Well, that's where this is from.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
There were also reports of prospectors found with unrecognizable facial features and torsos eaten clean to the bone.
Wow.
Although some sightings were frequent early on, they eventually diminished in the early 1900s. Although sightings were scarce for 100 years, starting in 2003, there's been an increase once again of reported mountain devil sightings. Well, that's horrible. Now, if this is the nightcrawler I'm thinking about, which is basically a marionette of a pants or something, I don't know. This might not.
Well, those are the Fresno nightcrawlers.
That's true. That's true. All right. So this is called the Nightcrawler. That's the next one on the list, ladies and gentlemen.
And it is from Fresno, California.
This cryptid has made 2 appearances so far. The first one is in Fresno, California, while the other was in Yosemite National Park. In both instances, it was only caught on video. The creature appears to be only around 4 feet high. It is extremely thin with a white humanoid body. However, it does not seem to have any arms and appears to be wearing a white gown or cloak. According to some Native Americans, nightcrawlers have existed on Earth for a long time. They are thought to have come from a planet that was mostly swampland. That's why they need the long legs.
That's why it looks like they're wearing white hip waders.
They got like T-Rex arms. So now I've seen the videos of the Nightcrawler. Not at all. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing about it that makes sense to me, and not that everything else makes sense, but when you think of a Bigfoot, you can think of a creature that, there are remnants of it in the fossil record, or similar things in the fossil record, and scientifically that make sense. It's got 2 arms, 2 legs. It's a large muscled creature, but these night crawlers look exactly like a marionette of a pair of pants just walking around. They don't even seem to follow physics when you watch it. Could it be a multidimensional kind of thing? Maybe. I'm not saying it can't exist. I'm just saying I personally have problems with that one because there's nothing about it that looks legitimate to me. It's just, to me, it's just a hoax. Sorry, and if anybody's a devout believer of the Nightcrawlers, I apologize, because you have a right to believe what you want, but I just don't buy it. I just don't. Just even intuitively, it's just like, come on, no.
It doesn't make much sense.
So that's me. I'm just throwing it out there because it's my show and that's what you get. But I don't know. I don't see much merit to it personally, but maybe. And I don't know what the Native Americans, what their legends are based on, or what experiences are, had been had by the First Nations tribes to, propagate that story in their lore. But maybe there is some precedent for it to be built on, but I just think those videos are fake. But there may be something akin to that wandering out there. Hell, I don't deny anything is possible anymore, especially since doing the show, because we've heard so many things through the years, and when you think you got something figured out, someone else will come and just drop a big truth bomb on you and be like, oh my God, and so you just got to keep an open mind, I think. But those are the Nightcrawlers. Here is your Jersey Devil, Don.
My Jersey Devil.
Yeah. Well, I just
the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, but Can
you start with Chris Christie?
We got better. He had the coof. We got better.
The coof.
Yeah. The Jersey Devil is one of the most talked about creatures in cryptozoology, and it is said to terrorize the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. This creature supposedly had huge bat wings, hooves, horns, and a forked tail. Reports of the Jersey Devil include wailing in the forest at night, the slaughter of domestic animals, footprints, and of course sightings of the devil himself. One of the most memorable group encounters occurred during January of 1909. During this time, the newspapers published hundreds of accounts on the Jersey Devil. Some of these accounts included, excuse me, that was me burp talking. I apologize for that. I couldn't stop it. It was just like, bah, it just came out. My apologies. I try to be a refined gentleman as I'm doing the show.
You freaking savage.
All right. So apparently it attacked a trolley and a social club. And although there have not been as dramatic sightings recently, there are still those who claim to have seen the Jersey Devil today. In fact, for many who inhabit the area, it's almost expected that they will have or have had a Jersey Devil sighting during some point in their lifetime. You know, we've had a caller to the show that says, you know, he lives in that area and has allegedly seen much smaller versions, like their baby versions of this very thing. I thought he said he had some video as well.
Santino, yeah. He posted the video a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
he was in here, and I asked him about it, and he went and I think Bomber went and checked it out.
Okay.
I don't know if I can go check it out. I'll have to remember what is.
Yeah, but I mean that's exciting that those things may very well be out there.
Maybe
they may very well be out there, ladies and gentlemen. It's a creepy thing. I don't know the whole story of the legend behind it. I don't know. You know, that sounds pretty fantastical, but there certainly could be, you know, these weird cryptid things out there. I have no doubt about that. And that looks like the end of this list of creepy things that you might see camping. And that's notwithstanding the other things that you might be seeing camping. Oh, this one looks good too. I'll have to look into this. Because that one might be a really good one too. We got about 9 minutes left. Did you have something that you could read for 9 minutes?
Yeah, I've got a couple things, I suppose.
Okay. By all means, Don.
La 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 la.
I tell Lovey.
Oh. Anyhow, so yeah, let's see here. I found some things. Let me get to a good one here. Okay, we're gonna skip these. Oh well, this always sounds good.
Okay.
Let's stick this in the or more column.
All right. This is the or more, ladies and gentlemen.
So, the terror beneath the Devil's Coffin. Hidden deep in the forests of Connecticut is an outcrop of granite that to most would appear to be no different than any other in the Northeast. It stands almost 100 feet tall, 300 feet long, and has a long, interesting history. Recently rediscovered this amazing location. We enjoyed the excitement to uncover. You know what? Screw this. I'm going here. I'm going to the Connecticut River Serpent.
Okay.
There we go. We'll stick with that.
All right. Let's stick with the creatures.
For some reason, that just wasn't grabbing me.
No.
Not tonight, at least.
That first two sentences, no.
Maybe another night. The Connecticut River Serpent. Here we go. Hidden in the undulating arms of the Connecticut River is a serpent that has frightened those who've lived on its banks since colonists first settled there. Often it's been described as an eel or a snake-like serpent over 100 feet long.
Jesus.
Though over the past 300 years it's been spotted by people across 3 states, it still appears to remain a mystery. In the early 1800s, spotting strange creatures off the coast of Connecticut was not uncommon. Sailors would return to port with tales of ghastly leviathans they encounter in their travels. The most peculiar of the stories frequently surfaced in local publications. One that crossed the pages of the New York Times and Scientific America was not reported by sailors at sea, but by people deep in the heart of Connecticut. This beast appears to make its home in the Connecticut River. The first sighting of the monster was in Middletown, Connecticut, and recorded by the New York Times on September 8, 1886. According to the article, Colonel Stalking and Silas Sage witnessed the creature while on a little skiff off Cromwell, Connecticut. While crossing the river at 6 a.m., they were suddenly struck by something underwater, and the skiff was tossed into the air. As they came crashing back down onto the surface of the river, the 2 men were tossed out of their seats. Fortunately, both landed on the floor of their tiny boat. As the 2 terrified men reluctantly peered over the side of the boat, they saw that the water began to froth and were greeted by a big black head rising from the water. The creature's head stood 10 feet above the water with eyes as big as small plates and a body that appeared to be over 100 feet long. Wasting no time, Colonel Stalking and Silas Sage raced for the nearest shore. Once safely on land, they turned to see the beast again, but it had vanished. Word quickly spread that the colonel's deadly encounter with this titan. Soon others began to join them along the shoreline, spying the river's surface for another peek at the behemoth. The crowd's patience was rewarded when the creature's head broke the surface again, this time towering 15 feet above the water. Those who doubted the veracity of Colonel Stalking's story were now amazed to witness the 100-foot serpent he had brushed shoulders with only moments before.
Wow.
For quite a while after, sailors navigated the river with caution, and hunting parties patrolled its lengths in hopes of killing the monster. Eventually, the town of Cromwell gave up on the monster. Though people's fear of the monsters vanished, the memory of its brief encounters they had was always lurking in the back of their minds. The Connecticut River monster was not mentioned again until 1894, when an article concerning a sighting by Austin Rice appeared in the Boston Herald. This story got the public's attention and was soon reprinted in the May issues of Scientific America and Sioux Valley News in Iowa. Austin Rice was a farmer from East Deerfield, Massachusetts. In the 50 years Austin and his wife Clarissa lived along the banks of the Connecticut River, he had never seen anything particularly interesting. In the spring of 1894, that would change. While near a bridge that crossed the river, he heard a grunt followed by a splash. Ooh. I looked into the river, and no more than 25 feet away, I saw a big snake, claimed Austin. Its head was out of the water and its body raised some 6 or 7 feet. At the neck, the snake was about as large as an ordinary man's leg at the thigh, and the body was large as an ordinary stovepipe. He went on to describe it as being black with white stripes on its underside. Its eyes were as large as those of a horse, with a mouth which extended down into its belly, was nearly a foot across. Those familiar with the previous sighting of the serpent in the river were quick to notice Austin's description closely resembled it. At first, Austin was more curious than startled by the serpent and began to follow it. He made an effort to keep side by side as he raced up the river. Wow. Suddenly, as if aware of Austin's pursuit, the serpent began to head for the bank toward him. Concerned for his safety, he was sure he could keep the distance between them. Austin had good reason to be frightened. He observed that this gargantuan snake traversed the river with little effort. His power of locomotion was so strong, said Austin, that he had no trouble in keeping still in the river against the current. Not far up the river, the creature passed by a boathouse where some boys were hammering, and it was startled. He heard the noise and raised himself about 10 feet in the air, and then fell back into the water and disappeared.
Wow.
Though there have been other sightings since 1894, none have had as close an encounter as Colonel Stalking, there we go, nor described it as well as Austin had. After 100 years of little activity from the serpent, most modern residents are not aware of the horrors that these men experienced. Though some suspect the sightings either a hoax or misidentification of a large sturgeon, I don't see how that could be possible.
Yeah, be a huge sturgeon.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Gigantic. There are still those who watch with a cautious eye when near the river. Those still familiar with the creature have affectionately named it Connie.
Connie.
Some believe it might be lurking in the Hog River Tunnel under Hartford, Connecticut. Others believe there is a population of these serpents off the shores of New England, and like young Atlantic sturgeon, remain in fresh waters for 2 to 7 years. Either way, with the ever-growing activity in and around the river, it shouldn't be long before someone spots Connie or her descendants making another appearance.
Wow.
Wow, the Connecticut River Serpent. Connie.
So we got a special little guy in the audience tonight watching us live on YouTube.
Oh.
And it's my little minion.
Oh.
He's learning.
Oh, there he is. Gotcha.
Learning to type words and stuff. And so he's in there. He's in there. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the fine artwork this little man put together for me in celebration of the show. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. God, I better pull up the thing so I can see if you can see it. But here it is, Paranormal Portal. He's got all the creatures there. This, I don't remember what, wait, where am I? Here, there's a UFO up in the corner up there. It's lifting up a guy. If you look in the UFO, there's a little alien pressing a button. And then we got all kinds of stuff. This is a ghost. This is Bigfoot. And over here's the dog man. So this will be on the wall in the studio. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate your fine work. And thanks for watching the show. All right, we're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour underway. One more to go. So we'll be right back. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed. Yeah.
illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal's hour number 2 tonight. 2 hours of paranormal fun for your listening pleasure. Hopefully it's listening pleasure. Right?
Yes. Pleasure, yes. I agree.
Yeah, we want to have
Are you
listening
not
pleasure.
amused?
I'm amused always. I'm always amused. But we got paranormal fun here to go over. We've gone over a few things already. That big lizard, man, that's weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, I remember watching Jeremy Wade in that, what was that
River
show?
Monsters?
River Monsters. Oh, my God. Some of the things that guy would pull out of the water, it's like, oh.
Yeah, but 99% of them were either sturgeons or catfish.
Yeah, but, I mean, some of those catfish would be like, you could eat a grown man. You look at those mouths, and they were like huge. I mean, you know, they could just, you know how the fish do that? They just open their mouth and everything gets sucked in. It's like, oh, and that's it. I mean, what are you going to do? Punch it on the inside? No, you're going to drown. That's what you're going to do. It's like, oh, horrible thing. I don't know, man. That stuff is just freaky. Now, I know catfish generally don't go around eating people, but you got to wonder how many times, like I grew up on the river, and so all the time we would hear of, you know, people that had drowned. Now, it was the Mississippi River, so it was very muddy and murky and all that, but, you know, sometimes the bodies were never found. And that was always the weird part, you know, because I was always concerned about that because I was a kid swimming out there, so I didn't want to
Bump into a dead body.
Yeah,
Something touched me.
Yeah. Oh, hey, guess what? I found Phil. You know, yeah, there he is.
That's where Michael Spivey went.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's you know, it's really weird. But what if, you know, there was one lady in particular. It was really weird because she was an avid swimmer. She was like, you know, had really swum her whole life, and I think she was always in the water, and she would love to float on her back. And she was down in Lake City with her husband and family swimming, and she would just float on her back, and suddenly, boom, she was gone. And nobody could figure it out because this was not a woman that was not, you know, capable swimmer. She was a very strong swimmer, and I don't remember entirely her background, but I remember that being one of the things they were talking about. Is just like this woman swam all the time, and she was, you know, very, very familiar with water, and so she was floating on her back, and a second later, boom, she's gone. They never found her body.
Wow.
It was just gone. And,
Alligator.
Well, yeah, this is the Mississippi, though, way up north, so no gators, but what about catfish?
Yeah, no doubt.
What about Peppy, the lake monster that's rumored to be there? You know, and again, I grew up on Lake Pepin in Minnesota.
Well, Digger Dog says catfish in the Middle Ages actually ate people in Europe, 600 pounds plus. That's a big person to eat. Or does he mean that the catfish was 600 pounds? Still big fish.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going for the fish size. However, a 600-pound person's no joke. That's that was.
It's just all in the way you read it.
It's all in. Yeah, it's all in the punctuation, I think.
This is why you need commas and periods.
Yep, that's why you gotta punctuate for sure. All right, so we've got a lot more to go.
Oh no.
Hold on. All right, I was just reading a comment in there. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, remember this Wednesday coming up, Mr. James Bobo Fay of Finding Bigfoot will be here with us. We'll be doing 2 hours of a conversation with the man and getting it on here in the portal. We're going to see what he's got to say about a lot of this stuff that we often talk about in regards to the Bigfoots and in regards to anything, I guess, paranormally that he wants to talk about. We'll see what he wants to get into, but we're going to have a great conversation. So join us here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, right here, right on YouTube, though. So it won't be on the networks. If you're usually a network listener, you're going to have to come over to youtube.com/paranormal portal, and you can be a part of that conversation, that show. And, we may open it up for listener calls. We'll see what he wants to do. But at the very least, you can always put questions in the chat if you're watching live. Just capitalize them, make them all caps or something so they really stick out.
Yeah.
And we'll do our best to make sure we ask everything we can. So Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a big show coming up. And the Minion's doing emoticons now.
Yep, he's got some cookies up there.
Cookies and love. Cookies love. He loves cookies, ladies and gentlemen. But, all right, let's continue on. We got more of these strange creatures that we'd like to talk about. And I like going over these kinds because, we do a lot of Bigfoot. We do a lot of not a lot of Dogman, but we do Dogman. Mm-hmm. And so, it's kind of fun to talk about these other ones. These other creatures that might be out there. This is the one I wanted to look at. And I think this is from the Philippines, though. The Aswang.
The Aswang?
Yeah, ASWANG. And this, again, is coming from animalien.com. Don't even do it. I know what that chuckle means. You're having fun with that name in your head, aren't you?
I'm not saying anything.
All right. The evil humanoid living among people. So, to me, the Aswang has always sounded like some version of a vampire. So I'm kind of curious what this article has to say. But coming from animalien.com, ladies and gentlemen, the Aswang may not be one of the best known cryptids, but it certainly is one of the most terrifying. In the outskirts of the surrounding areas of the Philippines, Roxas City it's unlikely you'll find many of the locals out past nightfall. They're afraid of a creature that they describe as a shapeshifter seen in the trees as half man, half bat, and at times described as having insectoid features. Most importantly, it's a meat eater, and its favorite meal is the human. I don't want to say this out loud.
You've got it on. You've already got it. You might as well. There's nothing wrong with saying
I know,
it.
but my minion can't read.
Oh,
human little ones,
little peoples,
torn from a woman's belly. Welcome to the Panay Island. Before the Philippines was a country of 7,000 islands, the island of Panay was the seat of the ancient confederation of Madhya as the first pre-Hispanic Philippine state. Legend tells that 10 exiles from the ancient state of Borneo found their way to Panay Island, where they met the Atis, a dwarfed primitive people sharing knowledge of the Panay jungle and the advanced sciences of Borneo. The new nation was born. When the Spanish arrived and conquered the nation centuries later, they reported in their logbooks tales of a creature that hid amongst the treetops and swooped down only to collect its prey. While in the trees, it was near invisible and could only be recognized by the tick-tick-tick sound it made. And in fact, they began to call it by the name tick-tick. Applying their own mythology to the creature, they often described it as a vampire. However, the Aswang was far from restricted to the form of a man-bat. Local legend tells that the Aswang can transform into any animal, ranging from cats to boars, but most often a dog. In later centuries, knowledge or rumor of the Aswang grew to speculate that the creatures had begun living amongst the humans, disguising themselves as regular townspeople. In human disguise, they are quiet, shy, and elusive. Some types of Aswang, particularly the females, are said to be able to detach the lower half of their body in order to take flight, with the upper half when hunting.
Wow.
Despite the Aswang's descriptions or even abilities, it is the way they hunt and their chosen prey that is most terrifying. In its hunting form, that of the man-bat, it's said to have a proboscis, an elongated hollow snout like that of a mosquito, which it uses as a weapon, and it's also to suck the womb and the fetus out of the pregnant woman. The tick-tick sound the Aswang emits is used as a facade to fool its victim into thinking that the hunter is headed away rather than towards. And it will begin loud and get quieter as they draw closer. Aw, that's creepy. Once they're above you, they move in with lightning-fast speed, stealing their prey up into the jungle treetops. To make things just a little more creepy, they're intelligent to some degree, and will attempt to fool other humans by constructing a horrifying rendition of its prey out of twigs and leave in its place. Fortunately, there are ways to defend against the Oswong if you're lucky enough to detect one. The locals of Panay use oil concocted of extracted, boiled, and decanted coconut meat in very specific plant stems, which are well guarded secret. It's said that when an Oswong is near, the oil will boil of its own accord.
Wow.
And they can then be harmed with salt, silver weapons, and stingrays' tails, buntat pagi. But your best bet is to pray you never meet one. Well, that sounds absolutely horrible. That just sounds horrible. Oh, God. That's creepy. That's so creepy. Now, I don't know. Obviously, they believe it. Mm-hmm. And these are the people that are living around this. So, again, we get back to the idea that could this then be a tulpa, or is it an actual creature?
Somebody said in the chat that during that the CIA used the legend of the Oswong as a way to put down rebellions and blame it on the critter.
Oh,
that's interesting. So
that is, I guess that's very possible. I think there's plenty of mind games going on in that kind of playbook. It's, in fact, I think most of it is psyops. But yeah, really creepy stuff. I don't know. I'm interested in learning about things like that, but sometimes it's like, God, I wish I could unread that.
Yeah.
I wish I could unhear that, but what do you do? It's all part of the bounty of the paranormal. So here, let's see, that was the camping one. I got to close stuff here. This one is Lair of Beasts, the Svokon, Myth versus Reality. I've never even heard of this one before, so this should be interesting. You ever heard of a Svokon before, Don?
Nope. Don has not heard of Svokon.
No Svokons are heard of. Well, let's see what it says. It says, who would ever have thought that an entire range of mountains could be considered definitely monstrous? Probably not many, but that's for sure. But it can definitely be said about the spectacular Caucasus Mountains, situated in Eurasia between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, and which are home to the highest mountain in all of Europe, Mount Elbrus, Elbrus. This is one word. I was like, where did it go? Mount what? And it's right up here, Elbrus. A North Caucasus town situated in Russia's Kabardino-Balkaria Republic. Oh, God, here we go. Turnyaus has a population of just over 20,000. The majority of them are just regular, everyday people. One of them, however, most certainly is not. Its name is the Svokon, and it is said to dwell deep in the hearts of the nearby White Rock Hills, adjacent to a ragged and bleak group of immense peaks that are known collectively and intriguingly as the stepmother's teeth. Yikes. According to the stories passed down across generations of residents of the town, the Svokon is a gigantic muscular man-beast around 20 feet tall, partly covered in white hair and possessed of a cone-shaped head that is set off by a pair of glowing red eyes and immense fang-like teeth. Not that far removed from just a normal Bigfoot kind of thing, except for the size. But, and most unfortunate for the people that live in the vicinity, the favorite delicacy of the Svokon just happens to be the human race.
Wow.
But it feasts in a most strange and unearthly manner. Indeed. Legend suggests the Svokon is a creature with powerful magical abilities that know no bounds, and that is particularly borne out by the way it devours its prey. For the Svokon, bones, meat, blood are just not enough. The beasts, the locals have long maintained, first snares its prey by hiding out in the woods at night, mimicking the distressed calls of a human baby, and cunningly enticing its victim to follow the sounds. Then, when the unlucky soul is in the dark depths of the forest, utterly disoriented, the Svokon quickly pounces. Not via a savage attack with its teeth and claws, however. Rather, it casts upon the terrified person a terrible spell, which turns them into a small ball of stone, and which the holy monster can then carry back to its dark den in the mountains and stacks alongside numerous other such stones, until hunger strikes and the Svokon does likewise. But then there's even more to the curious tale. After being turned to stone, the soul of the victim remains trapped within the ball until it is fully devoured. At that point, the Spokon is sated, satisfied, and the person's life force makes its ethereal transition to heaven or hell. But if another person finds one of the stones before it's swallowed whole by the Spokon, and if that same person then prays to God and smashes the stone into tiny pieces, such an act will ensure the Spokon stays hungry, and the souls of both the savior and the victim are forever guaranteed a place at God's rather than Satan's side. A nice piece of folktale, to be sure, but is that all there is to it? Maybe the answer to that question is no. And it says the Caucasus Mountains have their own equivalent of the Bigfoot of North America and the abominable snowman of the Himalayas. Its name is the Almasty. We'll leave you with the following thoughts. While the Spokon is clearly a mythological beast that should not be interpreted literally, perhaps the legend began with real-life sightings of the Almasty, which became mutated and distorted by centuries of folklore and storytelling. That was my position as well. That's what I was thinking. Must be people saw this and came up with this whole narrative. I'm sure there's, a lot of these things became methods of teaching. Behave or the booger will get you.
Right.
The boogeyman will get you. So people may have observed these weird creatures, and all of a sudden they became methods to help control their children, or to teach some kind of, moral position, or, in other ways. They became fables or of sorts, and these weird beings became part of the culture in those manners. So there is obviously a Bigfoot. I think we all in this channel can pretty regularly agree on that. At least most of us can. But isn't it wild how those sightings and those experiences then became part of the culture in that they become part of the storytelling, part of the rich tradition of verbal teaching and sharing and symbolism. So I think that's kind of cool. I guess it's one way to, I don't know, maybe if it has a place in your culture, then it's not quite as mysterious and scary and weird. I don't know.
Well, you never know. I mean, it just, you never know.
You never know.
Just never know.
You just never do.
Can't tell.
You can't always tell, Don.
Nope, can't tell.
You can't tell. I can't tell much of anything.
It's a secret.
So we have a story here about China's Bigfoot, which should be called the Yeren, as far as I know. That's what China's Bigfoot is called. But it says, one man has made it his life's mission to track down the mysterious wild man that is said to be roaming the mountains of Shenangoya. I don't know. That Wang Jiadong reports in Shenangoya, Hubei province. For the past 3 decades, Li Guhua has had just one mission in life: to find the legendary wild man in the thick forest of the Hubei province. He can't recall how many times he almost lost his life to unexpected cold, falling into canyons, or fighting bears. He was even mistaken by police for being an armed fugitive when trying to trace the ape-like wild man into the mountains of Shenangoya, the scene of numerous witness reports of this elusive ape man. The retired 62-year-old firmly believes in the existence of wild man and plans to organize an exploration team. Although I'm not as vigorous as I used to be, I'm still strong enough to climb mountains, and with my experience I can guide young team members, he says. I am sure I will find a wild man and be able to provide solid evidence if I can get support from others. And it says, born in Rishang, Hubei province, I think it's Hubei, Li says that he has always been a curious person. I was fascinated by the wilderness and the forest when I was just a child. When I was a boy, I would go into the woods near my home whenever I had a chance. I would roam there for hours, hunting birds and tasting different wild fruits, and hurried back home only when it began to get dark. Lee's first encounter with the wild man was in 1972 when he found several big footprints while working in Muyu town as a logger. I've heard many stories about the wild man. After I saw the big footprints, my curiosity soared and I was convinced there must be such a creature in the forest. 4 years later, he was working as an actor when he started his search. I heard 5 officials encountered a strange creature when driving on a mountain road. Locals talked about this for several days, and I found it hard to calm down. As his fellow performers in the troupe traveled to Wuhan for training, Lee took off on his own up into the mountain with just some biscuits, a rope, and a steel bar. Wow. He's definitely a man with a mission. He didn't find a wild man, but it was his first of many adventures. Whenever winter came, I just could not resist the temptation and would involuntarily find myself in forests. It was like I was enchanted, he says. Lee made his journeys of exploration mostly in winter, as the light is better because the leaves have fallen, enabling him to find the creature's tracks. He spent days, even months, in the forests. To find a wild man, you have to become a wild man first. Like wild animals, the wild man's senses are more acute than a human being, and they can easily detect an approaching person. Lee pours scorn on the large-scale science exploration teams that are occasionally organized to search for the creature. These guys will never find anything new like a wild man, as they make too much noise. Even if they are well equipped, to find a wild man, you have to live in the mountains and merge with nature. Spending time in the harsh conditions comes easy to Lee, who says he's been a loner since he was a child. Speaking of being alone in the mountains, he says the solitude was so strong, sometimes he became numb to the outside world. In addition, there was a physical weakness caused by cold and fatigue. Sometimes I was gripped by illusions and felt I could almost see death.
Huh.
I'll bet. Years of unrelenting effort, however, did bring some reward, as Lee saw the wild man and its footprints on several occasions. It was the moment I can never forget, he says, of his first encounter with the beast on February 28th of 1980. The wild man appeared to be chasing him, Lee said, possibly because it thought he was prey. I hid behind some trees and tried hard to contain my violently beating heart, closing my eyes for a while, hoping I could see it more clearly later, he says. As the creature came nearer, he could see clearly it resembled both a man and an ape. It was about 2.6 meters tall, with red hair all over its body, no tail. Oh, okay. 2 arms waving as it walked like a man. He was horrified, but even so, aimed his gun and pulled the trigger. But it failed to fire as the charge was damp. He did not have a camera. The creature turned around and ran swiftly toward a bamboo forest. Seeing the creature disappear, I collapsed on the snowy ground. When I returned, haggard, to the art troupe and saw my colleagues, I tried to say hello, but I couldn't remember their names, as I had been cut off from society for far too long. Since retiring a few years ago, Lee's family of 3 has been relying on his monthly pension of about 2,000 yuan, which is about $313. However, Lee still continues his search. Once I receive a witness report from the villagers, I immediately go to the scene with them to check it out. He blames lack of equipment and manpower and his inability to provide evidence of the creature's existence. Although I've seen the wild man several times, I couldn't record it because it escaped too fast and I didn't have a good camera to record faraway objects. Besides, it's too exhausting for a single man to search in such a large area. He's published a book about his travails with the help of Beijing Book House, Technology and Culture Company. Lee is a little obstinate and not very sociable, says Wang Wei, a marketing manager for the company, but he is very focused on his pursuit. It's not easy in modern society when many people just follow the trends and frequently shift focus. I hope I can find a sponsor and some volunteers so that I can continue the search, Lee says. I have devoted all my life to the search, and I hope I can put an end to this mystery so that it can be relieved before the end of my life. Wow. I guess it's possible. He could be the one to find it over there. Hell, any of us could, I guess, really. Right? Right, Don?
Yes, absolutely. All you got to do is just keep your eyes open, your ears open, and be aware.
Be aware, ladies and gentlemen.
But of course, we've talked about our awareness in general, being humans, less than adequate for most things.
Right, so, yeah. Well, there is that. But ladies and gentlemen, we're closing in on the last break of the night, if you can believe that. It's just gone so quickly. But We, of course, will be back for the last half hour after the next breaks. Again, if you're new to the show, we are broadcasting on TFR Live, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. Every half hour, there's breaks scheduled there, so we do breaks here on YouTube as well, just to keep it all consistent. So it's not because we feel we're being overworked and need some chance to breathe. It's just because...
We need a chance to breathe.
Well, I do, personally. I know Don could go all
I
night.
wonder if we could do like a Paranormal Portal coloring book.
That's been talked about, actually, recently.
Recently?
Yep, it has. Yep.
Okay.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen...
Cha-Cha brought it.
Yep, it was Cha-Cha that brought it.
Oh, it was
Yep.
Cha-Cha that brought it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take the break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Wow, Don, can you believe it?
What, that I've rolled my eyes so hard I almost changed my perspective? My paradigm has shifted?
No, that so much of time has passed already.
Oh, time passes.
Now we're in the
Well,
last
that's-
half hour. My God, where did it go? Where did it go, Don?
Right out the window.
It did. Apparently, the night is flying by, ladies and gentlemen. We're into our last 25 minutes of the show. It's just gone crazy. Remember, after the show, stick around for Paisley Wild coming up next with The Spaces Between. And tonight she's discussing the third eye chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Third eye chakra. So, what an excellent idea. What an excellent discussion to have because, of course, if you're at all familiar with the body energies, meridians, acupuncture, chi, whatever, mana, prana, whatever. These energy points are important because they are basically the circuit breakers of our bodies. And when your chakras get out of balance, there are many people believe, you may get disease or maladies as a result. So keeping those in balance and knowing how to keep them in balance is absolutely very important. So I suggest if you haven't checked them out, you should do so because that's a great discussion point. And one of which I believe in wholeheartedly. But anyway, that's coming up next right after our show. If you're a YouTube watcher, she does broadcast live, usually on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/thespacesbetween. So lots of fun-filled entertainment yet to come. And that's a 2-hour show as well. So
It is, yeah.
She's no slouch either. She's doing the work. So she's got boots on the ground, man.
Okay.
Woman got boots on the ground. All right, so let's continue on here and see what else we can dig up before the end of our journey tonight, Don.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of weirdness going on, man. Always lots of weirdness. I was going to look over here and see if anything new is... Oh, I don't think we're going to talk about that.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Really?
Apparently. Huh.
Huh.
We should probably read that. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an article coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. And it says, preserved brain cells found in Vesuvius victim. They actually, and if you're not familiar with this, the Mount Vesuvius, of course, erupted in ancient Greece area, wasn't it? Greece? In the area of Greece. And the whole town was wiped out by the pyroclastic flow. And that's when the hot gases and ash descend from the volcano and basically are 1,000 degrees or more and insta-cook everything. And when they dug up the Vesuvius, they found, of course, people huddling together trying to make it through, parents shielding children, loved ones embracing, and they were just locked in that, like statues in just a moment of time.
Right.
And
it's actually Italy because it was
Italy.
the
Okay.
town of Pompeii.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so, I mean, what an amazingly tragic event, but apparently, as according to this article, they found preserved brain cells. Now, what would that be good for, Don?
Cloning.
Do you think they're going to bring back an ancient?
So what was it like before
Yes.
Vesuvius?
What do you remember about it? Well, nothing. I was 2 cells.
And they were clashing together.
Yeah.
I'd get an idea every now and then, but I
Yeah.
couldn't do anything about it.
I wasn't really regarded as a smart person.
I'm still not.
Scientists have discovered the preserved brain cells of a man who died during the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD. It's perhaps the best-known volcanic disaster in history, a catastrophic event that buried countless thousands under huge amounts of choking ash and famously the entire Roman city of Pompeii. The vitrified remains of a volcano's victims, some of which were found still standing in the same position they were in when the devastating pyroclastic flow hit the city, have been the subject of study for years and have taught historians much about what life was like there before the disaster. Now scientists studying the remains of a man who was found in the 1960s on a wooden bed in the nearby town of Herculaneum has revealed for the first time preserved brain cells turned into a glass-like material by the searing temperature of the eruption combined with the rapid cooling that immediately followed after. This process effectively froze the neuronal structures of the brain, keeping them intact.
Wow.
The evidence of a rapid drop of temperatures witnessed by the vitrified man's brain tissue is a unique feature of the volcanic process occurring during the eruption, as it could provide relevant information for possible interventions by civil protection authorities during the initial stages of the future eruption, said study lead author Pier Paolo Petrone from the University Federico II in Naples. Dose? I don't know. But there you have it. Apparently they found preserved brain cells, and it just kind of locked everything in place. It doesn't sound like it's viable tissues that could be used in cloning, but it definitely shows them, the brain structure, I guess, which is kind of interesting, because it'll be interesting to see how that has changed, if at all, from our earlier ancestors.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a unique perspective. Are we still changing? And in what ways are we different now than then? What parts of our brains are more developed or less developed than our ancient predecessors? I think there's a lot that could be gleaned from that, so that's pretty cool.
Gleaned.
Oh, this sounds terrible. Virginia has evidently been invaded by venomous hairy caterpillars, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
That's what it's saying. Let's take a look. I've heard some of these caterpillars are like deadly. I've heard of these things before. It's pretty spooky. There it is. There's a picture on the screen for those of you on YouTube. I'll put a link over into TFR so you guys can see. But there it is. You guys can see these venomous caterpillars yourself. Authorities have warned residents to steer clear of the pests which have shown up in the east of the state. At a glance, the bizarre-looking creature, which resembles a walking toupee, seem harmless enough, but underneath its cute veneer lies a rather nasty surprise. The hairs, it turns out, are in fact venomous spines that can give a very nasty sting. VDOF's Forest Health Team has received reports of the pus caterpillar. Oh, that's a lovely name. That's the pus caterpillar, ladies and gentlemen. In a few eastern Virginia counties. The Virginia Department of Forestry wrote on Facebook, the hairs of this caterpillar are actually venomous spines that cause a painful reaction if touched. The caterpillars eat oak and elm leaves, but they can be found in parks or near structures. If you find the caterpillar, leave it alone and let its natural enemies control their populations. There are a number of other insects that will prey on them at different stages of their life cycles.
My goodness.
Wake up.
Pardon me.
VDOF's Forest Health Team has received reports of the pus caterpillar in a few counties. The hairs, this is just their post. Okay. So that's the post, ladies and gentlemen. If you see a walking toupee caterpillar, leave it alone. Don't touch it.
There will be hell to pay.
Very clever. Very clever. That was well spoke, sir. Well spoke. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. That's not the kind of caterpillar you want to bring home in a jar. Here, kids. All right. I don't know. That's not really paranormal, but it is weird.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
we can do weird,
normal.
too. Definitely not normal. That's right. That's what we always say. May not be paranormal, but it's not normal. So, jeez. Some people are really devoted to their...
Oh, goodness.
to their connections to aliens and you hate to miss a rendezvous, especially with a mothership or something if you're supposed to be there. So
I saw this picture somebody drew of like somebody falling out of the sky, and it says, the only thing worse than alien abduction is alien rejection.
It's like, they just drop you.
Oh my God, it's dawn.
Man steals truck to attend alien rendezvous. That happened, ladies and gentlemen. And it happened when? When was this? This was 29th of September of this year. Wow.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago. A man in Utah told police he had needed to get to the Coliseum to get on a flight with alien diplomats. The bizarre incident began when police in Utah were alerted to a vehicle theft by the owner of a red pickup truck who reported that it had been stolen from outside a 7-Eleven store in Salt Lake County.
Wow, 7-Eleven.
There you go. When officers arrived at the scene, however, the owner revealed that the man suspected of stealing the truck had since returned it to the place he had stolen it from and was now on the run. The suspect was quickly apprehended and taken to a local hospital to receive treatments for a wound he had sustained when the truck's owner had punched him in the face.
Beat his butt. Come here.
Come here, come here.
I got something for you.
When he was there, however, he attempted to escape police custody 3 times. He then apologized to officers and stated that he had an urgent need to get to the Coliseum to get on a flight with alien diplomats. He was ultimately booked for suspected theft and 3 counts of attempted escape.
So, suspected theft? Yeah. The guy said he brought my truck back. He took it and then brought it back and then punched him in the mouth. Yeah.
That's for identification purposes.
And
I punched him so you would recognize him.
So he's only being suspected theft.
Well, everybody's innocent until proven guilty.
But
in
3
a court of law.
3 counts of attempted escape for supposedly stealing a truck.
That's true. Well, it's not illegal to try to attend alien rendezvous, so they had to stick something on him.
Kind of rendezvous. Yeah. If he wasn't going to get the probe that night, he had to stick something on him.
That's strange. You know, I've got to feel bad. I really do feel bad for these people because can you imagine being in such a state of dissociation that you believe that and then you go through all that trouble and you get there and nothing happens? Is that like the ultimate disappointment? Because in your mind, if you're that person, you're about to go on a ride with some aliens and see amazing things and be introduced to whole new realms of reality or whatever. And then you're just sitting there in a stolen truck and the police show up. It's
Why aren't they beaming me up yet?
Yeah. What's going on? They're late.
Come on, Scotty.
Yeah.
Push the button.
I just think about that though, because in this person's reality, they're expecting this grandiose event to happen and then nothing. And how utterly disappointing that must be. And I don't know. It just occurred to me that, you know, to have your paradigm just shatter in front of you like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
That'd be heartbreaking. Wow. I feel bad for people like that because obviously this person's not operating on all cylinders. As you know, generally, if you're gonna be picked for an alien rendezvous, don't steal a truck. I think that's the first thing.
He needed a towel and his thumb in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
D-mentioned that.
He had his bathrobe and a towel, and he was all set.
And his analgesics.
I don't even know what that means, but it's funny.
Aspirin.
Oh, okay. Analgesics. Okay. Well, that's...
Did you ever read the book?
No, just the movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just
in
the
the movie,
movie.
he says analgesics too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. I'm sure Douglas Adams he did a book also called Rince Win the Wizard. It was hilarious. I did read that.
There's another guy named L. Sprague de Camp. They wrote a couple pretty good ones, kind of like that too. Just kind of these off-kilter sci-fi and fantasy books. Well, anyhow.
Oh, that's funny. Did you know that Mickey Spillane actually wrote a spoof of his own detective books?
The Mike Hammer?
Yeah, he wrote a spoof version of it. It's like instead of it being like a Mike Hammer kind of character, it's this guy that gets everything wrong, and he's like, and he came towards me, and I forced my nose into his knuckles, and then I repeatedly rammed my ribs into his knee.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
kind of a Paul Bart mall cop kind of thing.
Yeah, Paul Blart. Yeah, kind of that. You know, it's like it sounds like he's just brutalizing the guy, but then when you read it, it's like no, he's getting whooped.
He's getting his whooped.
But he's trying to make it as romantic as possible. Yeah, I thrust my forehead into the earth several times. Yeah, it's like, oh my God. It's hilarious. I read it back when I was in high school, I think, and it was just freaking, I was in stitches. So I don't even know what it's called, ladies and gentlemen. I can't give you a journey of that, but look it up. It's a Mickey Spillane did it. At least I believe he did. That's what I remember. There's a lot going on up in this head of mine, so I don't know.
A lot of room up there for echo.
Yeah, oh, no, that's not it at all. There's a lot of echoes, is my point, Don.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see.
Are the aliens coming to take you away?
Here's another weird one.
Oh.
I didn't know this was possible. Is anise?
Wow.
Is anise not good for you in a large amounts? Or
that
what?
depends on how you eat it.
Oh, okay. How do you consume it? Well, that might have something to do with it. Man dies after eating too much black licorice. I didn't know that could happen. I mean, it's stomach ache, sure, but what happened here? The popular sweet treat may seem harmless enough, but eating too much of it can literally prove fatal. I did not know that. Enjoyed around the world, licorice is made from the root of the plant, that whatever that says, and I literally can't see because my eyes burning and weeping right now. But which also happens to contain that stuff.
Some kind of acid.
Glyceric acid or something, a substance known to cause a number of side effects if consumed in large quantities, including hypertension, hypokalemia, and even renal failure.
Wow.
My God.
Yeah.
The risks were brought into sharp focus this week when a 54-year-old construction worker in the United States actually collapsed and died after suffering a cardiac arrest attributed to his penchant for eating 1.5 bags of licorice every single day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Of particular note was the fact that he had recently switched his habit from eating red licorice twists to the black ones just a few weeks beforehand, presumably increasing his glyceric acid intake. He was deemed to have suffered from hypokalemia, I guess, which is the name for the condition where the levels of potassium in the person's blood become dangerously low.
Wow.
Further investigation revealed a recent change to a licorice containing candy as the likely cause of his hypoleucemia, wrote Dr. Andrew L. Lindquist. So while the licorice is certainly safe to eat in moderation, too much of it can literally kill you.
Wow.
That's crazy. I actually knew a guy that he was on a real health kick binge, and so he just started going crazy drinking water. And in one day, he drank like 2 gallons of water.
Oh, my God.
And he literally desalinated his body and was in intensive care.
Wow.
He bounced back. He made it back. But, yeah, I guess it's the same kind of thing. There's there's no salination in the body almost at all. And his body was shutting down.
Yes, seeds, that's what we read, but how do you pronounce that word? Glycerizia?
Okay.
Glabra?
I don't know.
He says licorice, he spelled it 2 different ways. He spelled it probably the British way and the American way, is a common name for that plant, a flowering plant of the bean family Fabaceae. From the root of a sweet aromatic flavoring can be extracted.
Aha.
The licorice plant is an herbaceous perennial legume native to Western Asia and Southern Europe. See, it's like a lesson every time he pops in and we start talking about these kinds of things.
We should call him the professor.
Glyriza.
I'm glad you're killing it as well as I did.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
Yeah,
These are like full dollar words here.
Yeah, polysyllabic words are not necessarily good to include on paranormal shows. Yeah, exactly. Let's see if there's any other.
You sounded out, cha-cha. You're not the one behind the mic that's actually talking.
That's right. It all sounds good out there in listener land.
Seat says, "Who cares?"
Okay. I'm just looking over. Oh, yeah. Well, most of these are not really paranormally. I'm just looking for any quick ones that we could read because we just got minutes left at this point, ladies and gentlemen. So we're all on the filler.
How many minutes do we have?
7.
Okay.
6:40. 6 minutes.
Okay, so I got the headless skeleton of Swampton.
Good God.
Washington Irving wrote of a headless horseman, a tale of a Hessian of Sleepy Hollow who had lost his head in a war. It's a wonderful story that all enjoyed in their childhood. In Rhode Island, though, there is a more gruesome tale of the headless spirit of Swampton. The story may even predate Irving's tale and cause most to shudder in fear when alone on Indian Corner Road. In the early 1800s, a large portion of Swampton consisted of overgrown forests and wetlands. Virtually all of the roads that traversed through the wilds of this portion of Rhode Island didn't have names.
Often the locals would apply names to them that best describe their location. Some were adorned with pleasant names like Rathbun and Sunnyside. Others had much more gruesome rubric. Dark Corners, Purgatory Road, Robber's Corner carried names that both identified them and warned the weary traveler. Though most of the names have changed over time, there are those whose now formal names still carry the spirit of the location. Indian Corner is the most interesting and frightening of those lonely byways. Indian Corner Road lays in Washington County, Rhode Island, and travels northeast towards Wickford. Over 200 years ago, Indian Corner was marked by a large boulder for when the winter snow made it difficult to follow. Just as long as the rock stood watch over the lonely stretch of road, many travelers who braved it at night spoke of an encounter with a headless torso or its disembodied head. On the evening when it was dark and the fog would creep over the edge of the swamp and consume the road, it was said that the headless torso, surrounded by a blaze of blue light, would appear near the rock. It would sway to and fro and begin to rise from the ground with a lurch. Suddenly it would thrust upwards into the sky, leaving a trail of illumination in its wake. Though some claimed it was a spirit of a young boy, most believed it was an angry spirit of a Narragansett Indian. This is how the location got its name. The Narragansett Indians, who previously lived in Swampton, were displaced by settlers. Some local historians speak of a battle in Swampton during the King Philip's War. They claim that bodies of Indians killed during the skirmish had been buried near the rock. On the dark nights, as the moon hides below the trees and the shadows grow long, some have seen blood flow from under the rock. Most believe it to be due to the iron in the soil. Iron in the soul. Yeah. That'd be a good thing. This is iron in the soil. It is still frightening on a dark and gloomy evening. Those who are aware of the daunting story of Indian Corner Road try their best to shun it at night. Those who cannot scurry in haste to avoid encountering the torso or the disembodied head. Mm-hmm. On one occasion, thought a local road mender who was not privy to the tale stumbled upon something strange on Indian Corner Road. While walking home, he noticed something peeking from behind a pile of leaves in the rain-worn ditch. Ooh. His inquisitiveness drew him over to the gaping hole where he kicked away the leaves to reveal its contents. To his chagrin, he discovered a skull staring up at him from the side of the cavity. Fascinated by his discovery, he decided to take it home with him. When he arrived home, his wife was furious at his new curio and refused to let him bring it into the house. To appease his wife, the mender placed the skull on the end of a pole behind the house. That evening, a furious storm came down over the valley. As he and his wife relaxed by the fire, they were startled by a loud clattering outside their home. Thinking it was just wind, they settled back into their seats. Suddenly, they heard a rumble right outside their door. As it grew louder, they quickly scurried to the window to see what it could be. 8 small reindeer and a big fat jellyman. As they peered out the window, his wife shuddered and screamed at what they saw. It was a headless skeleton feverishly shuffling about their home. His bones rattled loudly as he appeared to be frantically searching for something. Fearing to be noticed by the uninvited fiend, the mender and his wife quickly retreated into the bedroom and hid under the sheets. Ooh. The next morning, they surveyed outside their cabin for any sign of the ghastly ghoul witnessed that evening. All that was found was the havoc left in his path. One other thing the mender did notice was that the skull he had placed on the pole near his home was gone. Ah. Obviously, the angry skeleton had come to reclaim his crown, is what it says. The skeleton has been said to be seen sitting on top of the rock at Indian Corner. Some people say it's to guard the graves of his fellow Indians, while others believe he is there to reclaim the land once owned by him and his ancestors. Whatever the reason might be for the headless duo, today Indian Corner Road is still a place that many respectfully avoid traveling at night.
How about that?
There you go.
There you go, and just in the perfect amount of time too. By the way, nice job reading that. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Your
Little air of suspense.
Your diction was just perfect.
Did you just call me?
I said diction. All right. I don't know.
Oh boy.
We love you guys. I just want to say that.
Switch scenes.
Switch scenes. You don't want to be the only thing going on.
No, people need to see you too.
You need to see me too. Well, we are absolutely thrilled you guys joined us tonight again. Stick around for Pays of the Wild coming up next. Don, anything?
Spooky20, your promo code for 20% off our Teespring shop.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for us.
Bobo on Wednesday.
Bobo's on Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow night with the Night Terrors for an hour of fun. So I hope you'll join me right here on YouTube, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for